Hey, what's going on, y'all? Big Sarge here. It's been a minute. I know it's been a minute, but I've been working a lot. When I tell you that I've been working a lot, I have been working a lot. Last week I was in Denver, got home just in time to be able to take a shower, change out the clothes in my bag, load up my bag again, and then I was out to San Diego. And so on last week, I did a lot of traveling. Covered the Astros while I was in Denver and covered the Astros when I was in San Diego, and then I came back home. Was I planning to do a show today? No, I was not. I'm going to tell you that right off the rip. I was not planning on doing a show today. Actually, during normal, during normal business hours, I would have been down at the Minute Maid Park covering the Astros versus the Angels fourth game, but that got canceled due to the hurricane that is getting ready to land here in Texas here pretty soon. I think they've said that they've upgraded it to a Category 5. So I won't be down there. The Major League Baseball canceled today's game and made yesterday's a doubleheader. So, first and foremost, let me say this to everyone who is about to get ready to go through such a catastrophic event. A lot of people are still recovering from the Hurricane Harvey that happened in 2017. And now another hurricane is about to make landfall and hit Texas. So for those of you all who still suffer from PTSD from the first hurricane, which being Hurricane Harvey, I'm here for you. If you need me, call me. If I got something that you need and I can get it to you, I'll get it to you. I want to do everything that I can as far as relief efforts are concerned in order to help. So no, I had no plans on doing a show today. But with this latest thing that just transpired when I went to cut on the game to watch Game 5 of the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Orlando Magic, game 5 of the NBA playoffs inside of the Disney bubble, when I cut that thing on to watch it, and it said the Milwaukee Bucks will not take the court today in protest of the latest shooting that has happened. Now, I'm going to give you exactly what is being reported right here from WTMJ. It says, as of 3:32 p.m., Coach Mike Budenholzer, who is the head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks, spoke about the issues leading to the boycott during his pregame talk when there was no such decision about the boycott. And this is according to the Milwaukee Bucks Twitter page. It is a great challenge to have an appreciation and desire to want to change, to want something different and better in Kenosha, Milwaukee, and Wisconsin, and then go out to play a game. Longtime Bucks analyst Dennis Krause says, to be clear, the boycott is by the Bucks. The Magic players have been warming up on the court. The NBA has not announced the next step. Mark J. Spears from The Undefeated says, Buck guard George Hill says his team is not playing against Orlando tonight in light of in the shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We're tired of the killings and the injustice, Hill said. So that prompted me to come on here to talk about that. I'm with the Milwaukee Bucks on this. There's only one way that change is going to happen, and you've got to take more action. Now, yesterday, during the Zoom call for the Rockets had their Zoom call after practice on yesterday, I got a chance to talk to Rockets forward Robert Covington, and I asked him about that. I said, even though the NBA has been pushing the narrative of they want more light and more things done, for social injustice. They put Black Lives Matter on the court. They allowed these players to wear whatever they wanted to wear on the back of their jerseys. They gave them a list. They gave them a list of things that they could wear on the back of their jerseys that talks about, social justice, social injustices, and equality and things like that. So when I turn on the TV to see that the Milwaukee Bucks are not playing against the Orlando Magic, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm all for it. I am all for it. It is time for something to happen. And with Milwaukee not playing, what that does is now that touches the advertising dollars. The advertising dollars that's going to be lost during this game, which is one of the reasons why the NBA said, hey, we got a plan. The NBA didn't just put the teams back in the bubble so you all could have sports. No, they have a package. They have an endorsement deal. Oh, I'm sorry, not an endorsement deal, but they have a sponsorship deal with these sponsors for these games. And so while, yes, they did want the NBA back playing, they got that. They talking about that money, that muyaya. They want that money. With this game not going on, a playoff game, they are sitting out a playoff game. These advertisers and these sponsors, they're losing money. And by them losing money, you know what that means? Now, the CEOs and the CFOs and the presidents of all these companies, now they're going to start saying, hey, if other teams follow suit, then that means that those people who cozy up to the ones who make the laws, the ones who make the laws, the ones who are in charge of talking to, these police captains and these mayors and these governors and things like that, once they get into those ears, things will start changing. This right here, what Milwaukee is doing, is the best thing to do. Hold on, let me put this up. I don't know who this is, but Justin Caballero says, Black Lives Matter has not donated 1 cent to Black community. Instead, all the money goes to the Dem Party. Are you mad about that? Hey, Justin, just a quick question. First of all, if you don't put your picture up, why should I even acknowledge you? Like, if you want to have a dialogue and a conversation with me, put your picture up so we can have this dialogue and this conversation. It makes me feel like you're a bot, like you're a Russian bot. I don't want to do that. And this ain't about no Democratic or Republican Party. This isn't even about Black Lives Matter movement. We're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks and what they're doing. Am I mad about that? I'm mad about you coming onto my stuff with no picture, you Russian bot, and trying to start off a political party conversation. I don't belong to a political party, Justin. Sorry. Hey, look, that's a good name, though, you Russian bot. Hey, look, and you can hack my stuff if you like, because my credit bad anyway, and I ain't got no money in my accounts. I digress. What they're doing now is they're hitting these advertisers and these sponsors right in their pockets. And by hitting them in their pockets, they know that those people have the ears of the people who can make the changes. The people who can make those changes will get it done. And that's what needs to happen. That's exactly what needs to happen. So I'm with them. And I could kind of seen this coming because George Hill was one of the players who was not happy about it. And like I said, when I spoke to Robert Covington on yesterday, I specifically asked him this question about everything that's going on. And then we still have other instances. We still have other things going on. He said, ain't nothing going to change. Ain't nothing going to change until they want things to happen. So I'm all for it. I am all for everything that the Milwaukee Bucks are doing. That's why I came on here to talk about it. And it's an open forum. If you want to talk to me, talk to me. I'll make sure that I put up your comments and things like that. I don't know who this is, but Banana Clip Nova says, yeah, right thing, finally. Yeah, you're right, Banana Clip. Now, here's the situation in the case, because a lot of people are still confused about what these players actually want. The one thing that I'm seeing now, and what I'm starting to see that didn't happen in the past, players from these different sports, from Major League Baseball, from the NFL, from the NBA. These players aren't just sitting back now and saying, well, we can't do nothing because we just can't do nothing. No, they're using their platforms, they're using their voices, and they're using they're withdrawing their God-given abilities to these sports to say something has to change. One thing that Robert said on yesterday, one thing that PJ Tucker has said, one thing that LeBron has said, one thing that George Hill has said, one thing that Lonnie Johnson Jr. has said, from the Houston Texans, one thing that Kenny Stills, wide receiver from the Houston Texans, have said, they said, at the end of the day, when I step off the field or when I step off the court, guess what I am? Just a black man. What happened to the to the unarmed African Americans who have been shot and killed could happen to me. And I'm rich and I have status, but those type of things could happen to me as well. I think I just seen a clip of Vince Carter on Get Up saying that he takes his ID to the mailbox just so he won't get pulled up on by cops and something happens to him. You know, it's so weird. I can understand. I'm afraid to walk out of my apartment to go to my car, and it is right around the corner. I am afraid to walk out of my apartment without any ID. Every time I walk out, I make sure I either have my wallet or my dog tags on, one or two. Like in my dog tags is just to identify me just in case something happens to me. But I have my wallet just to make sure nobody runs up on me the wrong way or nobody says anything to me the wrong way, because it only takes this much to make this much happen. So yes, I understand. I understand as an African American male. Now, some of you all are going to want to get into, you know, the parameters behind on Jacob Blake's situation. Now, I will say this. I was one of the ones who said that, because I do believe in following the instructions and commands of law enforcement officials. I will say this. I am not one of the ones that you're going to see on the news that says, yeah, I told them I got my rights and this, that, and the other, and this is what happens. I can't afford to do that because of what I've lost and what I don't want to lose. They go hand in hand. I don't want to lose the ability to be able to talk to my grandbabies. I don't want to lose the ability to be able to talk to to the 4 sugar babies. So if that means I got to stand there and be belittled and degraded and berated, I'm going to do that. That's the sacrifice that I'm willing to make. Not because of I'm less than a man, but that's the sacrifice that I'm willing to take in order to be able to talk and see my grandbabies. That's it. I know it sounds weird and it sounds crazy. Around here somewhere, I have the actual Constitution. I got a pocket-sized Constitution that I have and that I read. I know my rights. I know my legal rights, but I also know that as an African-American male in the United States of America and as a veteran who has served this country, the laws and the rights still don't apply to me because of my skin. And that's a shame. I heard what Doc Rivers said on last night, and I agree with him. And some of you all don't know the backstory behind what Doc Rivers was saying. Go back and look and read about the times when Doc Rivers lived in Boston, when he played for the Celtics. If you ever get a chance, look up some articles about listening to Austin Rivers, his son who plays for the Houston Rockets. Listen to when he says that him and his brother were called the N-word a lot throughout Boston, and their dad played. Go back and look during the time when Bill Russell played for the Boston Celtics and feces was smeared all on his wall at his house, and he won them championships. So I do understand that. I do understand that the laws and the rules that's supposed to be given to every American citizen should apply to African Americans as well. They definitely get pushed to the side when we're talking about African American males. I've told you all this before. I'll say it again. The African American male is the most hated race and gender there is in this world. I know I'm going to get some backlash from some women that says, no, women don't have it right. No, I understand. There is a plight to be fought with women as well. But I've been around this world, not just this country. I've been around this world, and I've been hated on in different countries. Just because before I even open my mouth, there is a look. Or before I even open my mouth to hear somebody else open theirs, there's either this look or this look of disdainment or this certain attitude or the way they enunciate their words towards me to let me know automatically you don't like black men. Haven't even done anything to you. I haven't even opened my mouth yet, and I can already see where this conversation is going. So when you all come back and say things like, oh no, there's wait, hold on, Nikki Haley, who doesn't, the former governor of South Carolina, who doesn't even use her real name, when she comes in and say, oh, there is no what did she say? There's no racism inside of, let me see, hold on, I can't see if I can do that. There's no racism inside of the United States from what I've seen. And I asked her politely, so what about Dylan Roof? He's in South Carolina. Went to Bible study, let them people pray for you, and then pray for him, and then he killed 9 black people. So as I digress, getting all the way back, I understand. I understand why the Milwaukee Bucks did what they did. And I am glad to see finally somebody else taking a step outside of wearing a t-shirt or making a social media post or a hashtag or whatever the case may be. I just came from the barbershop. Hold up, y'all. I'm faded. You know what I'm mad? I'm faded. You know, I'm mad. Anyway, I just came from the barbershop and I was talking to my cousin before I got ready to leave. And I was telling my cousin that when you have police officers like the ones who shot Jacob Blake, when you have police officers, the ones who killed George Floyd, who shot Tatiana Jefferson, who killed Botham Jean, who killed Tamir Rice, who else? What else? I'm trying to think. There's some more because we know there's a plethora of them. But when you have those type of police officers, there's a fear factor that runs in there. There's a fear factor that runs inside of that makes them say, I'm scared. And I don't understand how you are scared when you have all the control. Also, let me tell you about something. The rules and regulations that govern what someone in the military can do to a hostile, that they can do to the enemy, pretty much runs concurrent with what law enforcement officials are taught. When I look at some of these cases, especially with the Jacob Blake case, now, like I told you before, I wouldn't have done what Jacob Blake done. I would have just stood there until the police told me that I was free to go. And once they told me I was free to go, I would tell them with my hands up, I'm walking backwards so I can get into the car with my kids. Is it okay for me to move? When they say yes, okay, I'm just double checking, ma'am or sir, and I'm going to walk backwards until I'm able to get into my vehicle and drive off. Jacob Blake didn't do that. And I understand. I get it. I got it. Jacob Blake did not do it that way. And I don't understand where he thought that he was going with the police. With as high as the tension was, I don't understand where he thought, I don't understand, where he thought he was going to be able to go with the tensions being that high, reaching into the car. I don't understand, and I don't get it. But what I also don't understand is, how do you have that many police officers on the scene? How do you have that many police officers on the scene right there with different types of mechanisms different types of mechanisms and apparatuses outside of your weapon your gun to stop Jacob Blake before he gets around to the car. There's new video evidence that's come out showed that he was wrestling on one side. Okay, well, if he got the best of you right there, then come on back around and get the best of him on the other side. This reminds me of the case that happened down in Georgia. I'm sorry, the young man's name slips my mind right now, but I'm talking about the young man who was killed inside of the Wendy's parking lot. Shot in the back. Jacob Blake shot in the back. There's other ways that I think that you all could have handled this, but you didn't. You didn't. Do I put some of the onus on Jacob Blake for what he did that led up to that? I do. I wish that the young man, knowing that he had those kids in the car, would have just stood there, because I've said this before and I'll say it again. When a cop comes to your car, when a cop shows up on the scene, you don't know if you're getting the good cop or if you're getting the bad cop. You don't know which one you're getting. And by not knowing which one you're getting, what you should do is just say, look, I don't know which one this is. I'm going to be honest with you. When I get pulled over by the police, I automatically assume a couple of things. One, this police officer is about to come to my vehicle, whether it be male or female, has had a bad interaction with a black man. They ain't finna have another one today. Rashard Brooks, thanks, Amy. When a police officer comes to my car, I automatically assume that they lost a girlfriend or a boyfriend to somebody that was black. A black male could lose a girlfriend and a boyfriend to an African-American male. I automatically assume that they either got beat up by a police, they either got beat up by a black man in high school or when they was growing up. I automatically assume these things when they're walking up to my vehicle, even if they're black. They don't just have to be white. I assume that with all cops, before they even get out the car, I automatically assume, okay, hey, look, bro, make sure you keep your hands at 10 and 2. Make sure that you tell them and tell them that you're going to reach for whatever it is they're asking for. Because I automatically assume that this cop has an issue with black men. Should I think that? No. I live in the United States as well as these police officers. I hate to hear when people say, this is my country. This is my country. No, this is our country. And I don't understand how one race of people can think that they own or control the entire country. I also assume that a lot of police officers, they just want to go home. They just want to go home to their family. So anything that I can do to help their interaction and make sure that they get home, I get it. I got it. But when you pull cowardly acts like what we've seen as far as the George Floyd case with Rashard Brooks, with Breonna Taylor, which, by the way, side note, because I'm here now. Y'all done missed me, and I done missed myself, but I'm here now. How does the Attorney General of Kentucky have the nerve to go on and speak at the Republican National Convention when it's been over 100 days since Breonna Taylor was killed, murdered by law enforcement officials? How do you have the nerve to go on to the RNC, sir, and speak? You don't have any. Shouldn't you have been working? Shouldn't you have been taking the time out to make sure that you are going over the case so you can prosecute these killers? Shouldn't that have been the case? How are you on the RNC video stream, live stream, whatever it is that they're doing? I'm not watching the RNC just like I didn't watch the DNC. How are you doing this knowing that your office is under so much pressure right now and under so much scrutiny. Bro, I know that there's no possible way that you are ignoring everything that's going on. Every time these athletes get on TV, you know what some of the get on TV, you know the first thing that they're saying? Arrest the killers who killed Breonna Taylor. How do you not hear that? You have social media. How are you not hearing these things? They reiterate that over and over and over again. There's t-shirts made, there's hashtags made, there's murals made. There are things being out there that's made that says arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. And yet you have the audacity, sir, the unmitigated gall to go to the RNC and speak. But then again, I understand you are the same person who called the police on the people who was protesting in front of your house because they want you to do your job. I digress. Don't be surprised, y'all, if other teams follow suit. And I'm pretty sure that the next one, because there will be a next one, and it's horrible that I even have to say anything like that. It's horrible that I have to say the next one. And what I mean by the next one is the next unarmed African-American civilian that is shot by law enforcement officials. The next one, there's no telling what these players may do. They may just say, forget it. Forget the whole thing. We're done. We're done here. And I know I'm going to hear some backlash. Well, they're paid to blah, 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 blah. They just need to go and do their jobs. Ain't that so easy to say from the outside looking in? It's easy to say, just go do your job. Just go do your job. Just go do your job. And most of the time, you know who it is saying that? Anglo-Americans. Last week when I was in San Diego, I was getting ready to get on the elevator. I had put my little card there. I had pushed the button. And I was getting ready to get on the elevator. So I'm standing there and I got these headphones in, right? I got these headphones in my ear. And so I'm not really paying attention on everything that's going around me during the daytime. I'm like, I'm cool. I'm either listening to a podcast or music, whatever it was, it grabbed my attention in my ears. So this is what I'm focusing on. So I push the button to get on the elevator. The door's open. I get on the elevator, push the button, turn around. And as I turn around, there are two Anglo-American white women who come inside of the elevator. They get on inside. They come through the doors. They get on the elevator that I'm already on. I got off. I got off the elevator. And although that these two women were probably some of the nicest women that I had ever met in my life, because they was like, no, we're okay. We can social distance. I was like, no, I forgot something at the front desk. I ain't forgetting nothing. But I don't want to be put in a situation where me as an African-American male, as a big African-American male, I'm 6 feet, 200 plus. As a big African-American male, I don't want to be put into a situation where I have to defend myself or my actions for just being Black. I got off the elevator. I faked like I was walking. And as soon as the door closed, I just turned around and came and waited on the next elevator. And this time I made sure that I was going to be the only person on the elevator. And that's sad because, one, I'm an American citizen. Two, I am a veteran of the United States Army. I raised my right hand and took the oath of enlistment at 37 years old. I fought for this country. I fought for my right to be able to have the right But the only rights that most African Americans have, especially African American males, the only rights we have is secondhand rights on whatever is given to us. So, yes, could Jacob Blake have handled that situation a whole lot better? I think he could have. In my honest opinion, I think that he could have. Did he deserve to be shot in the back 7 times? No. I think that before he's even allowed to get to the door, the police officers, with their training and the escalation of force. See, a lot of people that if you're not used to hearing that, you don't know what it is. The escalation of force, meaning that they can go one step above what they're doing, and it should only become lethal if they're put into a lethal situation. They wouldn't have been put in a lethal situation if they'd have done what they needed to do at first. So yes, I do feel like Jacob Blake could have handled the situation better, but I also believe that the people who are paid to stop disturbances, to keep the peace, should have had better tactics so they would never had to draw their weapons. And so what Milwaukee is doing, and before I get off of here, because I'm about to get ready to get up off here, I've been rambling for a minute now. Before I leave here, let me say this. I want to be surprised, but I'm not. What you all need to do is, so here's the thing. Outside of Chicago, we don't never really take into account the rest or the rest of the cities or the states that surround Chicago. You ever been to Gary, Indiana? Look it up. Just look up the state of Indiana and you will see how much racial discrimination and social injustices there have been towards African Americans. They only talk about Chicago. But the neighboring state, Indiana, is by far worse than Chicago. Well, let me take that back. They talk about Chicago because they say black on black crime. You only think that Chicago is the only Midwest state that that has any type of issues. Like I said, they never want to talk about Indiana, which, by the way, that's where your vice president is from. It's neither here nor there. They never want to talk about how bad it is for African Americans in Indiana. They never want to talk about how bad it is for African Americans in Minnesota. George Floyd was killed in Minnesota. Murdered in Minnesota. You remove George Floyd, just remove George Floyd and put him to the side. May he rest in peace. Put him to the side and then just go and do an in-depth study of the state of Minnesota. You can do a brief in-depth study of Minnesota, Indiana, and now it brings me back to this. Wisconsin is not a good place for African Americans. See, I've done these studies. I've looked at these things. I know that I know that Jacob Blake being shot by the police in Wisconsin, that ain't nothing new to the people outside of Wisconsin. That's new to us because we don't think like that. We think when things like this happen, we only think of racial discrimination and social injustice and, killings being done in places like Texas, California, Florida, New York, bigger states. No, look at Indiana, look at Minnesota, look at Wisconsin, look at Michigan. Just those 4 right there. Go and look at that and you will see how African Americans have been discriminated against, have been killed at a higher rate, how much social injustice has happened, and then you won't be surprised. That's why when it was like Kenosha, Wisconsin, I was like, never heard of Kenosha. I'm not surprised about it being Wisconsin. Don't believe me? I'm going to give you some homework. some extra homework. This is for extra credit. I want you to go and just look up Milwaukee. I also want you to look up Milwaukee during the time of Sheriff David Clark, if I'm not mistaken. I want you to look at the racial disparities when it comes to imprisonment, when it comes to poverty, when it comes to shootings of African Americans in Milwaukee alone. Guess what, y'all? That's my time. I appreciate it. I'm gonna look forward to doing a little bit more of these pretty soon. I got to get ready to hop on this Rockets call.